In an industry stuffed with marketing bullshit, empty promises, and shiny-suited liars, one woman's had enough. She knows what it's like to have the wrong clients, no money, and no time for fun. But she also knows how to fix it. And on the Business for Superheroes show, she promises to tell the down and dirty truth about business, sales, and running away with the circus. Here's your host, Vicky Fraser.
Hello and welcome to the Business for Superheroes show. I'm Vicky Fraser and this is my husband Joe.
Hello.
Hello. And this week we are freezing our bits off because it's currently about -5 degrees outside and inside.
It is so cold.
We're really struggling to heat the house actually. The cats are super pissed off. In fact, we can show you an angry cat face.
Can we?
Yeah. Look.
That's the microphone. This is Noodle.
Hi, Noodle. Oh, he's purring now, but he is quite cross. And we've got as you can see, the wood burner in the background, and we're huddling in front of the wood burner.
Basically, if you're not within 2 feet of the wood burner, it's below zero in this house.
Yeah, I have 2 t-shirts and a jumper. And by the way, this on my shoulder, if you're watching the video, is a hot water bottle that's stuffed down my neck because I've got a little bit of a shouldery injury thing, which I will explain in a bit. I'm wearing a pair of tights, a pair of jeans, a pair of like proper fluffy socks. You know, the crazy socks that mums buy you. Mum bought me a pair a few years ago and I'm wearing it with my great big slippers and my feet are still freezing.
Yep.
I can feel the heat being sucked out of me.
I have a t-shirt, a shirt and 2 jumpers on.
So we're drinking gin and tonic. We're drinking cheers, Joe. Cheers. We are drinking... What are we drinking? We're drinking the amazing seaweed gin that Tanya sent me.
Hi, Tanya.
Hi, Tanya.
So, yes, seaweed gin with elderflower.
With elderflower, which I couldn't believe it when I did. I can't believe we have. I'm shocked. Elderflower tonic
We're
in the house.
We're pretty middle class.
Without planning it. That is pretty middle class, isn't it? So, anyway, this week's podcast is all about tiny beetle steps.
Okay.
Like a little pillow a warm pillow to rest my head on now. Because this week I have mostly been struggling to stand up.
What's that?
Because I've been on a handstand workshop for 3 days in Birmingham. Actually, it was 2 days in the end because it snowed. It snowed 6 inches of snow on Saturday night, and I didn't fancy driving from Birmingham back to here in the dark in with the roads like that. And I'm very glad I didn't because I think it would have been very bad. Because our village is a tiny village, and it's like an ice rink.
I haven't been to work for 2 days because we've been snowed in. It
is literally like an ice rink. But the reason that I haven't been able to stand up for the last 2 or 3 days is because I've been to this handstand workshop and it was 5 hours each day, like in the afternoon. And you might think that it would be all upper body stuff. And, you know, my shoulders have been aching and my arms have been aching. But what's really been making me suffer has been my butt cheeks. It's been very, very bad. Like, to the extent that I couldn't just stand up out of a chair. I had to roll sideways off a chair and then push myself up because my legs wouldn't work anymore. And it's only just today that it started to become bearable again. I've been quite whiny, haven't I?
You have been quite whiny. The cats are whining about the cold, the chickens are whining about the snow, and you've been whining about your butts.
Oh my god, we have to tell them about the chickens though. Okay, so we've discovered how to deactivate chickens.
Chickens are not built for snow.
They do not like it. It's really funny. They were kind of okay when they were on the stamped down bit, weren't they? We were stamping it down. But we were trying to tempt them. They've been underneath their coop. We've been trying to tempt them out with tasty treats, and they've been like, we're not interested in your tasty treats.
Now that is super unusual, because chickens are just...
eating machines.
They're just motivated by food. There's nothing going on in a chicken's head apart from where's the next thing I can eat coming from.
And is this edible?
Yeah.
So we managed to coax them out yesterday, didn't we? Because we went out because I thought they need to eat properly. I'm a bit worried about this. So we were trying to, and they were eating, but you know they're not getting their usual grubbing around in the garden, so they're not eating whatever the hell it is that they eat when we're not looking, which is mostly mice, I think.
All of the disgusting things.
Yeah. So we were trying to tempt them out, and they were following us down our trodden path, and then Shirley Bassey decided she was going to detour off the path into the deep snow, which is kind of chest deep on her. So it's like 6 or 7 inches of snow. And she got a few steps in and she just stopped.
She just kind of grounded out. I reckon like the chicken body just starts floating on the top surface of the snow and the chicken legs just don't touch the ground anymore.
Do you think?
And then they just stop.
But yeah, they just kind of, it's like you flicked a switch, isn't it? Because Mrs. Pickles did it as well. Mrs. Pickles was even worse.
She made a bad choice. She turned left into the deep snow.
And then just stopped. And we're like, that's a bad plan. So we actually had to pick them up and move them out of the deep snow. And then Mrs. Pickles was sitting on your arm. And she wouldn't get off, would she?
No, she was all right with that. She was quite happy there.
Yeah, every time we tried to tip her off, she'd flap, like, in a panicky kind of flap back up again.
I'm staying here.
And she was eating out your hand. And then until she spied Big Betty on the floor underneath, and she thought, that's not snow. I'm going to land there. So she flapped down off Joe's arm.
I think there was more thought on it than that. I don't think it was just not snow. I think it was, you know what, I can use her like a pair of automatic trousers. And I can drive her around like some kind of vehicle.
So it was hilarious. I'm really upset that I didn't catch it on video because Mrs. Pickles basically launched herself off Joe's arm and landed on Betty's back.
Betty was surprisingly all right with it. They maintained that for a few seconds. Not long. Not long enough, really. Not long enough
for me to get my video camera up. But anyway, so yes, it's been very snowy, and that was a kind of bit of a rambly
Jesus, it's cold.
Yeah. It's really cold. This might be a bit of a rambly and angry podcast, because not only are we cold, I also can't really see out of my left eye, and I hurt. So, anyway, so my handstand workshop. Okay, I'll come back to that in a minute because it is relevant. The butt cheek error is relevant.
Butt cheek error.
But today we wanted to talk about tiny Beetle steps.
Okay.
Which I mention quite a lot on Instagram and, my emails and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because progress is made in tiny Beetle steps.
Right. That's it. Podcast over.
Yeah. No, it's kind of, and this is something I talk about a lot. Making tiny progress instead of going for the massive stuff.
Right.
And then Seth Godin sent an email out the other day that prompted me
Seth.
to... No way he listens to this podcast, but on the off chance, oh my God, hi Seth! That would be so cool. But he sent an email out the other day that kind of prompted me to talk about this, because I think we've probably talked about it before, but I don't know if we've talked about it specifically. So I just wanted to talk about that today. And he said that, real change is the result of focused persistence. It's what I've said before, is that it's showing up consistently and doing small things well every day.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think it's really easy to get excited about a brand new thing for a little while.
This is going to revolutionise my business. I'm going to do this thing, and it's going to take my income from, 6 beans a week to £4 million a month.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be brilliant after I've done this massive, enormous thingamajig.
Yeah. And it's, I'm not getting at anyone here, we're not getting at anyone here, because it's human nature. This is how human beings work. But yeah, we get excited about new things for a very short while, and we all do it. We all get excited about the new idea that we've got or the problem that we have to solve. And, you must be the same when you're presented at work with a new problem.
Yeah.
It's very, very excited. We get excited about the thrill of the chase, I think. And, copywriting is a really good example of this because, it's really good fun winning new clients. I suppose, website clients, web design, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm going to use copywriting because that's what I know. It's really a lot of fun winning new clients. But then we have to actually do the work.
Yes.
And
that's not as much fun.
It's not. For the most part, I love doing the work. I wouldn't work with my clients if I didn't enjoy doing the work for and with them. But if I'm completely honest, doing the work is not as thrilling as winning the work. Mm-hmm. And it must be the same for you as well. Solving the problem must be really good fun.
We love solving the problem. We love. We had a major project for a really big company whose name I can't tell you, and it's massive. It was like multiple millions, all over Europe, and it was basically doing the same thing on about 50 different production lines. Winning the contract was amazing. Doing the first one was amazing, and then we had 49 more to do.
Not quite so much fun.
Tough to get to the end of that list.
Yeah, and that's kind of, but that's what success is built on, though, and that's why I think it's really important to talk about that, because we get really excited about this stuff, and rightly so. New ideas are exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Winning new clients is exciting. Doing new things is very, very exciting. But then we get really distracted because the new idea isn't quite so new anymore.
Yeah.
And, the problem solved is solved. and then you have to actually fix it, and you get distracted by the next idea. Implement the damn thing, yeah. And this is something that I'm really aware of in myself, and once you're aware of it, it's much easier to kind of deal with it and work through it. But I think a lot of the time people don't realise that that's what's going on.
Yeah, they just see a revolutionary new thing and go, "Oh my god, that's amazing!"
Yeah,
but the guy's been working on it for the last 5 years.
Yeah, but also, actually, that is true, and I'll come back to that in a second. But what I was kind of getting at is that I don't think people realise why they get bored with stuff, and they don't realise that our brains work in such a way that the novel is very exciting, and that actually what they then are kind of distracted by is the fact that you have to put the work in afterwards. Does that make sense? So, yeah. and when you realise that that's what's going on in your head, when you realise that that's suddenly why what you're doing doesn't seem so exciting, it's like, oh, I was really excited about this yesterday. What the hell happened? That's what's going on. It's not that it wasn't a good idea. It's not that it's not going to work. It's just that suddenly it's not new anymore. So, it's...
I think that works the other way around as well, because you have to be aware of when you're making, let's say, strategic decisions for your business. It's not necessarily a good idea to make all those decisions when there's new shiny objects floating about the place, because you'll be latching on to the new stuff because it's interesting and you like the look of it.
And that's another really good point, because that's not a strategy. It's not strategies. Getting excited about a strategy is great because that's a long-term thing. The things that you're like, oh, that's new, that's really exciting. That's just a tactic or a tool, and that's not the same thing as a strategy at all. And I think people often don't realise the difference, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree. I just think it's really easy to call it a tactic or a tool then. But yeah, it's too easy to go, that's a brilliant idea, I'm going to do that.
It's going to fix everything.
It's going to fix everything, and you change all your stuff, and then 3 days later you kind of think, oh, maybe this isn't so great.
And the reason that you think, oh, this isn't so great, is because it takes time. You have to give stuff time. And, sometimes things won't work.
Yeah.
And, there comes a point where you're like, okay, I've been trying this for quite a long time and now I need to give up on it. But I think often people give up on stuff far too quickly, and they forget that, the long-term strategy will work more often than not, because if it's a strategy that you are getting from somebody who's been there and done that, then it's tried and tested and it works. When stuff doesn't work is when you're like, oh, I'm jumping from this tactic to that tool to this thing, and it's like, well, if you don't,
you're just chasing novelty, then you're not chasing success.
And I can, we can. I will show you some examples of this in a minute, but
you've been a victim of a few.
Oh hell yeah!
Shiny objects and novel ideas, haven't you?
Yeah, I tell you what, bloody ActiveCampaign, other CRMs are available, and it's nothing against ActiveCampaign at all. They're very good at what they do. They've got hundreds of thousands of very happy users, but I was just like, oh, Entreport's pissing me off, what can I use instead? And I heard other people be like, oh, we could do ActiveCampaign and this, that and the other, and plug it into this and that.
Shiny object, boss.
Shiny object. And I've been resisting using the thing that really is right for my business, which is Infusionsoft, which I'm starting to use, because that means that I don't have to mess around with all these plugins, and it means that I'm going to get an expert in who knows what they're doing, so that I don't.
Sure, it's not just novelty. It's not just a shiny object.
No, it's not. I'm sure on this one, because it's something that I'm not going to justify it all through this podcast, but
okay.
This is not just me saying it. I've got advice from independent people who actually know what the hell they're talking about.
Okay.
So I'm kind of confident that it's going to be a good thing, and I don't have to plug. Anyway, that's off topic. But the point is. You have to keep at it. It's with any big project, with any plan, with any strategy that you've got, it's really exciting starting it, but keeping up the work is the real challenge, and that's what will bring you the success. It's not just that's why real change and real success is so very rare, because people don't stick at this stuff. That's the difficult and the boring and unsexy thing. New ideas are sexy.
Yeah.
Sticking with them, not so much.
Not so much interesting. Always a new sexy thing to look at.
And you can apply this to everything. You can apply it to business, you can apply it to sports, you can apply it to relationships. I mean, how many relationships fail, do you think? Because people are like, oh, the initial buzz has worn off, and therefore I'm not in love anymore, and therefore this isn't working, and therefore just fuck it.
Go and find something novel.
Yeah. But, so obviously sometimes genuinely a relationship doesn't work out, but I think that people don't realise that this stuff takes work. And you have to, you can't take it for granted. And of course the initial buzz is going to wear off at some point. But it will, won't it? So then, you have to work at it.
man.
Oh man. Anyway, back to work. Another thing that Seth Godin said in his email, and this is very true, is that today's urgent is more urgent than yesterday's important.
Today, what now? What?
Today's urgent is more urgent than yesterday's important. And so the important thing from yesterday gets passed over in favour of the new shiny thing that you see today.
Right.
So, yeah, that's it really. I just wanted to kind of point out that overnight success is pretty much, it's very, very rare. Very rare. The Elon Musks and the Richard Bransons and even the Gary V's, they're not massive.
I don't understand Gary V.
No,
I see him pop up on Facebook every now and again, and I just think, what?
Don't worry about it. But yeah, they're not overnight successes. They're the results of tiny Beetle steps. People that have worked very hard in the background. And let's take some things from my life as an example. This handstand workshop. This was really interesting because the guy who was taking the workshop, Felipe. Hi, Felipe. Who definitely won't be listening to this. He has a company called Salt and Water, which, by the way, is great. And as an aside, go and have a look at it because he's built this brand around what he does. And what he does is very specific. He is a hand balancer performer. And that's all he does. He's not, he doesn't do handstands as part of gymnastics or as part of anything else. His whole act is handstands. That's what he specialises in. His handstand act is like more than 8 minutes long. On his hands, without a break. Just to put that in perspective, I'm pretty strong. I've been doing circus for a long time. And in this handstand workshop, he was like, right, hold it for as long as you can. I got to 45 seconds and collapsed in a little puddle on the floor. Really hard work. So, but yeah, he's been doing this for, how long did he say? 27 years, and he's been teaching for 22 of them, I think. I might have that wrong, but it's definitely 20 plus years. And he practices, he trains for 5 or 6 hours a day on top. So when he'd finished our handstand workshop, he then went off and trained for 6 hours. And it's repetitive. It's the same thing again and again. So what he was getting us to do, he would get us to warm up and all the rest of it. One of the warm-ups was standing with your knees bent in kind of a squat and your knees in. So not your knees pointing out, which is harder work than allowing your knees to push out. And then we were standing with our arms like this. Now you might look at that and think, well, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see me with my elbows.
If you're not watching this on YouTube, imagine
I'm making
forearms parallel to your face, with palms towards your face,
and my elbows up and in. And after a few seconds, they start to drift out and down. Now, you might think that that's not a difficult thing to do, but I challenge you right now to stand up off your chair, bend your knees into a squat as low as you can get, comfortably, have your arms up in front of your face, and hold it there for 5 minutes, because that's what you had us doing. And I can tell you now that by the end of it, we were practically in tears, because it's incredibly difficult. And it's that kind of repetition, making time to do that every single day and conditioning the muscles and all the rest of it. And, he had us doing circuits, which was, different kind of handstand things, headstands, leg lifts, because a lot of it comes from core strength. You're working on flattening your back.
So was this 3-day course to do this skill, was that a shiny object for you?
Well, yes.
Or was it Beetle steps?
It was a bit of both, because I have been training my handstands on and off for years, ever since I kind of started doing trapeze and stuff, because I wanted to be able to hold a handstand and I wanted to be able to do a few tricks and walk on my hands and stuff like that. I don't want to become a hand balancer performer. I just want to improve my handstands. Plus, handstands are superb cross-training for a bunch of other stuff as well, because it's a whole body exercise. It's all of that stuff. So yeah, it kind of was a bright, shiny object, but also I wanted to improve a whole bunch of other stuff. And I wanted to learn new techniques and correct techniques and strength and stuff. So that's why I did it.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you're going to do the incremental dull work behind the scenes now that gets you better, or have you just had a big splurge of enthusiasm that is over?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? And, I'm not going to do all of the stuff he taught us, because that was 5 hours of handstand work.
5 hours of crazy.
I'm frankly not that dedicated, and that's not my goal. But yeah, I'm going to take some of the exercises he gave us and incorporate them into my pole training and stuff like that, because that's what I want to do. But, the point is, and this is one of the points that he made, is that it's constant repetition of the same thing over and over again. So one of the things he got us doing was handstand after handstand after handstand after handstand until we physically couldn't kick up anymore. And like you pointed out, that's the thing that will make the real progress.
Just doing it.
What's that Bruce Lee quote about? I don't fear the man who's
trained 1,000 kicks once. I train 10,000 kicks once. I fear the man who's trained one kick 10,000 times.
Yeah. And, that's boring, doing one kick 10,000 times. It's boring.
But it'd be good at the end of it.
Exactly. So same with backbends. Do you do a backbend every day? And
You do a backbend every day.
Well, I do a backbend every day. Some days are better than others, but because I do it every day, the overall trend is upwards. It's
backwards.
Backwards. Bendage. Yeah. And my cartooning course is another really good example of this.
Just incremental work.
We started off with circly circles, and now I've got my own cartoon character, and it's tiny progress. And that's the same with everything we do. And it's the same in business. So, we don't just, or we shouldn't be just going for the big sale.
Yeah. Unless you're a double glazing salesman. Badger.
But even then, there's merit to doing it my way.
Yeah.
Is slowly and building relationships over time, constant contact, follow up, daily emails. I write an email to my list every day, and often
that really is Beetle steps, isn't it?
That's
a really good example of Beetle steps.
It's a really good example because there are days where I'm like, jeepers, I can't be bothered to do this, or I can't think of anything to say, or is this really working? And then a week later, I'll get 4 people buy something from me and 2 people join my inner circle. And it's like they won't necessarily. I won't necessarily get somebody buying from me every day, but it's that building of the relationship over time. It's worth doing.
It's a good example. I like that one.
It's a good example. So today's takeaway is stop worrying about the big stuff and pay attention to the little stuff. What small things can you do consistently every day that will get you closer to your goal, whether that's business or life? For me, my advice is going to be, if you're not writing daily emails to your list, start doing it. Your business isn't different. It will work. Just bite the bullet and do it.
I can feel the resistance to that concept.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're wrong, people. Get on with it.
Yeah. Oh, it won't work for my clients. My customers are different. My customers are far too sophisticated. No, not at all.
They might not read all of your emails, but you'll be there in their inbox when they start looking for you.
Yeah. And we will be talking about email marketing with my sister from another Mr. Misty.
Hi, Misty.
Hi, Misty. At some point soon.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, coming up next week, it's nearly Christmas.
Christmas. I should really do some shopping.
Hopefully we'll be a bit warmer. A bit less grumpy. Because Joe's been really grumpy. I don't know if you've noticed, but Joe's been really grumpy in this podcast.
What?
A few minutes ago, you were like, yeah, all right. And I was like, yeah, I know, that's what I thought. Harsh. So we'll be a bit warmer, a bit less grumpy, and a bit more Christmassy. Might have a Santa hat.
Yeah, we could do that, couldn't we? Oh.
Ding, ding. Might have a Santa hat. And in the meantime... Oh, dear.
Oh, dear.
And in the meantime, as Joe covers himself in shame, you can join Bookaholics Anonymous, which is free. Yeah.
Do that.
Go to vickyfraser.com/book club and sign up. Totally free. You can find out all about it there.
We'll make you read interesting books, learn stuff, and talk about it.
Yeah, and then we'll have a call at the end of the month to talk about the top 3 things you learned from this book and how you're going to apply them in your business. Super useful. You can join my superheroes crew. I've had 2 new members this week and I'm very excited about it. So
Excellent.
You can go to businessforsuperheroes.com/inner-circle and join us there. If you join us before the end of December, you will get this month's newsletter, which is all about setting goals and planning and getting stuff done, which couldn't be more appropriate for the end of the year. If you like this podcast, please go and subscribe in iTunes. Or wherever you get your podcast from. It'll make us happy.
Stitcher, whatever.
Yeah. Help more people find us. Leave us a review.
Yeah, say good things.
Yeah, or if that's not your bag, then please share it. If you know people who will enjoy this nonsense, then send them a link. Go to vickyfraser.com/podcast.
Also, we like getting emails.
Yeah, send us emails and gin.
We like getting gin more. Didn't get you a mention.
Yeah. Well, other things will get you a mention too.
That will too.
Yeah, but we love to hear from you. And I'm thinking about creating some merch for the podcast.
Merch for the podcast.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So watch this space for 2018. We'll get Joe's face on a pin.
That'd be amazing. On a mug.
On a mug. Maybe. Anyway, have a splendid week, guys. If you I can't remember what I was going to say then. Just have a great week.
Just have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.
Like what you've just heard? Tell your colleagues, tell your friends, send them to www.businessforsuperheroes.com/podcast.